got around to it.
It's really good. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And the cartoon is really good too. Okay, it's saving. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, there
We're
we go.
live, by the way.
Oh, are we? Oh,
Yeah,
thanks
we're
for
just rolling into this. I just hit. I just
thanks
hit
for the
let's
warning.
roll. Yeah, no problem. I figured I'd cut out the ceremony of like the little like dun 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 it's starting soon because nobody like cares about that.
Nobody's anticipating this at all.
No, yeah, like I hope we get like 4 viewers, but like I think okay, so like what I thought that all was about, like when you have like that starting soon, like I would like if we could have that, but then we could talk like while that's playing, and then like right when it's over, we just go all right, action. But instead, it's like you and me sitting on the side going,
Well, we could. I mean, I don't know
"Whoa,
what was stopping us. Usually, you have us in
I don't
the
know."
waiting room or something, though.
Yeah, that's where it
When that's going
belongs.
on.
My stream. Wait,
So,
you know a little
so
bit about that. Sit in the waiting room. What? Go ahead.
George, how are you doing?
I'm
We're
good,
back
man. I'm
for
good.
your third part here.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Here to finish out our Hammer horror live stream series, which has been a lot of fun. And you know what, man? I was looking back through the book today. We barely scratched the surface, really. I
Yeah,
mean, we
there's a
barely
lot.
scratched it. We hit so many, but then there's so many more. I'm like, man, you could really. It's such an amazing company with such a huge um, legacy to it. And I hope to touch a little bit on some of the history and like more towards the end and how horror Hammer sort of like faded away. But we're going to start out with how are you? How are you?
I'm doing well. I think it's an interesting point though that you brought up is that the lifespan of this company is not very long when you really think about it. And
No.
how many movies came out? How many of them were really good? And how many of them were like average okay, which is still considerable when you think about it. I mean, to have that many great movies and really good movies too, there's barely any that are bad. And
I
even
would
one that we're going to talk about tonight, which I didn't particularly care for, I still found something to enjoy about it.
I would say that all of them deliver. Like if you're saying I'm seeing a Hammer movie and you pay your money for your ticket, it's delivering like what you're expecting. The
Yes.
ones that are transcendent are the movies that sort of go beyond that Hammer classification and become movies that I think are really excellent in their own right. And I would put The Devil Rides Out in there.
Yes, and I think we'll get into that about why that is because there's something very special about it. I think that gets there. Two things I would say: the source material and the writing. But before that, can I talk about a modern movie that I just saw and give a
Yeah,
quick
go for
review?
it.
So I
Yeah.
saw X or Saw 10, whatever you want to call
Oh
it.
boy, let's
Uh,
go.
I actually really liked it. I thought it was a very,
Okay.
very strong Saw movie. I have to put it in its own category of what it is. It's a Saw film, true to its inspiration and true to its roots as in the series. And as someone who's enjoyed that series for what it is since its inception, I really like this one because it is the best since the original series ended. The original series ended with Saw 3D, and I don't remember what year that was, but the last few have been like garbage. There was Jigsaw and there was Spiral from the Book of Saw, which was like an attempt at doing a spin-off. And it
Yeah.
was with Chris Rock. I don't know. They just decided let's put Chris Rock and Sam Jackson in a Saw movie and see what happens. I mean, it was like entertaining in that regard, but as a Saw movie, it was garbage. But Saw
Yeah.
10, there's some grisly, gory, and gruesome traps. I mean, the ones that just make you really want to squirm in your seat. Um,
Yeah.
they're also some of them are at least, I mean, for the concept of the thing, they're fair, and that's what I don't like about. I mean, not they're ridiculous
Oh,
and
like you could get out.
yes, and people can get out of them as you have to mutilate your body to do it. But
Oh,
in
that
some
doesn't
of the
sound very
later
fun.
ones, they're like,
Yeah.
well, you're gonna die either way. You're either gonna kill yourself by doing these things, or there's no way out, which is not what the story or the character of Jigsaw is supposed to be about. So, very good performance by Tobin Bell as well. Tobin Bell is like
Back for
the
his
linchpin.
10th paycheck.
Yes, yes. I mean, he's just so good. He's like in his 80s, but he
Oh
carries that
my
movie.
god.
So
Is he
if
really?
you like that kind of stuff, I definitely say go see that.
I just watched I guess I would call it modern. Came out in 1999. We were just talking about Tim Burton and you were shaming me.
Yes.
Um
Who? Why have you not seen Beetlejuice? I'm shocked. We should do
Yeah,
that
I
as a
know.
we'll do
It's
a
just
Tim Burton thing at some point.
oh god. But I watched Sleepy Hollow.
Oh god, I haven't seen that since it came out.
I didn't even really know it existed. And
Really?
I just saw it kind of pop up on my Amazon, and I was like, okay, that looks kind of good,
And what did you
And I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, so I was
Um,
probably 8 years old when I saw that.
yeah, that'd be scary for an 8-year-old. I thought it was going to be like a PG-13, and then all of a sudden, everyone just gratuitous head chopping off in the movie for
Yes.
sure. Is it how many movies by Tim Burton have been rated R?
Not many, but I mean, probably Sweeney Todd is
Yeah,
probably rated
this one was
R.
definitely R for sure
This
because
one
everyone
was
was getting their head cut off. He's carrying people's heads around all the time, like a cover, like an old like an old EC comics book kind of thing. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was kind of a fun movie.
and it's with
Um,
Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. Is
Christina
that right?
Ricci, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Johnny Depp, a guy who's incredibly handsome, but insists on dressing like a fucking bum, like all the time.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, what is with that? Like, he's such a good looking guy, but he's always like bedraggled out, looking like shit with like a stupid hat. Like,
And those weird
dude, what are you
sunglasses, like
doing?
those. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, weird facial hair. It's like
Eccentricity, right? Eccentricity, genius of
I get.
eccentricity.
He's like, I'm only going to be handsome for you on camera, but on my own time, I'm going to be ugly. Is that kind of the thing?
Yeah, I think so. And then
Okay.
just before we get started, I will also say I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal
That looked
Studios
fun.
and had a blast there. They had some really, really good haunted houses, including some based off movies from this year. Like they had The Exorcist Beginning, which I have not seen the movie. I heard it's garbage, but the haunted house was excellent. And what else did they have? I'm blanking on it all of a sudden. But they had Chucky and The Last of Us and Stranger Things and things like that. So it was
Oh, cool.
overall a really good time. And I sent you that. I don't know if you saw that video of the show with
Yeah.
people doing the weird pyrotechnic things. It was
It
bizarre.
looks
Okay.
okay. I was like, that's interesting. Like, that's fun. Like, I was like, that looks cool.
like what's he
Yeah,
doing? What's he watching?
I was a little busy. I went to a Halloween party. I had to go to like I had to go to like 3 things in a row, and I finally hit this guy's party at like 10 o'clock, and we had a really nice time. But everyone was pretty well into the bag by the time I showed up. But there were some good costumes. Guess what's on TCM right now? Devil
Rides Out. Is
right
it?
now.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is right now. So this is kind of fun. You could tune in right now, and then tomorrow they've got Rasputin the Mad Monk and Taste the Blood of Dracula and the Mummy.
No way.
2 movies. Yes, 2 movies we've talked about on this very stream will be on TCM tomorrow in the morning.
Only TCM was more widely available and not with the freaking sports package.
Yeah,
why?
I get it on YouTube TV.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I'll have to do that because it's nice to have someone else curate and kind of pick, and you get exposed to different movies. Just turn it on.
Like a lazy Saturday or Sunday, I just put TCM on and just like I don't watch everything, but I just kind of keep it on TV. You know what I mean?
Saturday mornings and afternoons, they used to have I don't know if they still do it. They used to put all kind of matinee adventure pulpy type stuff. Do they still do that?
I don't know if they still do. I remember they did that when I was a kid because I used to get up. This was just about the time where you could rent movies on Apple, and that would be like the way you could see everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, I didn't have Netflix, but no, I used to get up at like 4 a.m. if there was something on TCM that I wanted to watch. And when I was in high school, I'd set my alarm for like 3:30, and I'd get upstairs and just like be really quiet and watch TV with like a bowl of cereal and watch just goofy stuff. I saw a lot that way.
If people haven't watched your TCM video, I would highly recommend your kind of
thank you.
lamentation about the TCM's lost, aesthetic plus probably the substance is maybe going too, but who knows?
Diminishing, possibly.
Or David Zaslav fell off the library too, So,
are you expecting trick or treaters at your house?
Yes.
Oh,
so that will go outside tomorrow, but otherwise it will rot. So it has to stay inside.
Wait, what?
It'll rot in the heat by tomorrow.
What, your candy?
No, that jack-o'-lantern.
Oh, your jack-o'-lantern. I forgot you live in Florida. It's like 40 or I dox you. I'm sorry, but like it's
okay. Big state.
Okay. It's yeah, okay. It's like 40 degrees here, which is nice. Yeah. And the leaves are falling and it's very festive. Okay. So Can we move on to our first
Yes.
movie? I think we're going to talk
Yes.
about The Curse of the Werewolf, and I've got a little trailer for everybody here. We'll just kick this off, and then we'll start talking.
Music and girls, and the moon. The full moon that turned an innocent man into a savage beast. The curse of the werewolf. A man possessed by a desperate need for love, who found in Christina all the passionate sincerity of youth.
Christina, do you love me? Will you marry me, Christina? You say you love me, will you marry me?
Yes. Yes, I will.
Help me! Get away! Get away! Get away! No!
So, what'd you think of this movie?
Like it, don't love it, and
Yeah,
it's a kind of a mixed bag of a movie. In that I think it's very very strong in its opening, and we're stuck on the goose there.
yeah, I had a thing. Go ahead. It didn't work. Go ahead.
I think the opening is extremely strong. The ending is excellent, and the middle drags like very long. This always makes me feel that this is the movie they for some reason they thought they wanted to be a little bit more mature or artistic, and they were like, let's do a very very like epic werewolf story where we literally go from not just the birth of the character but the pre-birth, the origin of his parents, through the birth, through childhood, through adulthood, into his fulminant werewolf phase. And I think we lose so much about what could have been. I feel like I knew nothing, despite all of that. I felt like I knew nothing about Leon, the werewolf character. He's kind of a blank
Right.
slate. There's not much to him, and I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more of him dealing with his werewolfism, as an adult, for instance.
Yeah, Oliver Reed's in the movie for like 40 minutes.
Yeah,
I think that's probably his
If
screen time.
even.
Oliver, great actor. I love Oliver Reed. If you've never seen a movie called The Devils, directed by Ken Russell, you should check it out immediately. It's incredible.
I've not.
It's one of my favorite horror films ever. It's really, I think, topical and interesting, and it's terrific. That's got Oliver Reed, and then he was also in Burnt Offerings and a bunch of the
He's
Ken
in
Russell
Captain
stuff.
Clegg too.
Oh, is he really? That's why I was wondering if he did any more Hammer movies, but he was in
Yeah.
Captain Clegg. Okay, we talked a
And
little
I
bit about
think the
Captain Clegg.
girl, I think one of the girls from this movie is also, I can't remember if it's the mom or the girlfriend here. I did not look them
Okay.
up, but they look familiar. Or maybe they were in one of the other ones I saw. But
Yeah, not to get. Go ahead.
no.
Not to get too distracted, but like, because we could go off on a tangent about Captain Clegg if we wanted to, because we're awesome. But like, I was sitting there watching the first half hour. I'm like, where's this going? Like, maybe not the first half hour, but like the whole bit with the evil king, and then there's like a. First of all, we start out with like a preamble to the preamble, where like the whole bar is telling the story of why the king's bad.
yes.
Then we're introduced to this hairy beggar who gets thrown in jail by the king, and then he rapes the chambermaid gal or the daughter of the
mute daughter of the jailer. And he becomes insane just because he's been in jail too. He's like this very sweet, nice beggar. Like you can tell he seems like a good-hearted person who's down on his luck, and he makes the wrong mistake of going to the king or whatever that guy is to ask for money. The people at the bar don't exactly they're not rude or mean to him in any way. They just kind of like, yeah, good luck. Go beg for money from the king. He'll give you what you're due, and then he takes him like face value and doesn't understand that
He's
like
like, okay.
this guy's a horrible person and he's gonna.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. But then he goes and gets stuck in jail for like 20 years, and so he looks like horribly haggard and like, I guess
Becomes an
kinda like a
animal
wolf.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And none of it makes any sense about why does this tragic upbringing make his child a werewolf?
Yeah, why does a hairy homeless guy why would that produce a werewolf exactly? Because it didn't like it would have made more sense if like the king had raped the gal because like maybe he was so evil he got cursed and so his son was evil. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe that would make a little more sense.
And I
Like
love the makeup on that guy. The makeup.
He's old.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe the peasant could have put like a spell on him and been like, "Oh, because you were mean to me, I'm cursing you. I'm actually like a witch or whatever." Right?
What was up with that makeup? It was great. It was amazing. But
I'm like, why do I
him?
care that she killed him? Like I was like, okay, you know, and then she like runs away and dies, and then he gets adopted by a kindly old guy and his wife.
Okay, but can I stop you there? So
yes,
we begin the movie with a narration overlying narration of telling this story. Well, first of all, how do they know the story? Who knows the story? Because no one was there that survived. That the stepfather, the kindly stepfather, he doesn't know that happened. How does he know that what happened to the father and the mother, like in the jail?
Nobody would know.
So it's like that's inherently a problem. I know I sound like the Star Wars guy that
you do sound like Carl Sagan a little bit, like cringe, like nitpicker science guy, Carl Sagan goofball.
Yeah, sorry.
What a loser. What did he ever do? Host a TV show? Anyway, no, but you're like the old Ben Franklin adage that like 3 can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. They're all 3 dead. Nobody knows what the hell happened. So yeah.
So don't have the narration then. It's not needed. So that bothers me. Sorry. That doesn't usually, but that one really did.
It's just such a preamble before we get to the real story. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what's interesting is like I was like thinking, well, is this because this is based on a book and they were adapting it as from the book, and it is based on a book, the Werewolf of Paris, apparently.
Yeah.
But according to my reading of the Wikipedia page, which sorry, that was my only research. This has nothing to do with that book at all.
No. Yeah, no, the Werewolf of Paris is according to the Hammer book, it was like a multi-generational saga about the Franco-Prussian War. They used the werewolf idea of like a monster as like an analogy, but they were making another movie that took place in Spain. I can't remember what. And so they were like, well, how about you just make it take place in Spain? Because those are the sets that we have.
I thought the Inquisitors, the one that they didn't make, was supposed to be filmed on the same sets as these.
That's right. The Inquisitors that they didn't make. And so they were like, well, we got this whole set of like Spain. So the werewolf is now the Werewolf of Spain. Yeah. It's not bad. Oliver Reed is good. As you saw in the trailer, his performance is really like, he does a nice job being a werewolf. I like the werewolf makeup. Like it's kind of fun. Cobra Malibu Unlimited. Yeah, Cobra Malibu Unlimited. That's a great name. Says if you're in prison long enough, you turn into a werewolf. Okay. Yeah.
Apparently.
Oh, we got good.
I thought it was when I was rewatching this because it's never been one of my favorites to rewatch multiple times, and I've seen it a couple times, but sometimes when I watch it, I usually fall asleep by the time he's a little child. But when I was watching it again this time, there's the scene where he's a little boy and he talks about when he was out hunting with someone and the rabbit gets shot and he picks up the rabbit and he starts drinking the blood from the rabbit, or he gave it a kiss, right? He says, I gave the rabbit a kiss, kiss to make the boo-boo get better, like not knowing that it's dead, and he drank the blood by accident.
Right.
I thought they were kind of implying at that point that he picked up some kind of disease from that, and that's how he became aware. But then it's more implied that preceded that, or that was just the first manifestation of his werewolfism.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought too. But I don't think. But then, what's the whole point of having his parents and the tragic upbringing, if that's not to explain like something?
It's because this book has a lot of shit going on where everything matters, but they cut it all down so much that's all that's left is just like scraps of former drafts, and they're like, well, okay, we have to have this character in there because he was in another draft, but cut out the part that where his storyline mattered. So he's just like there. You know what I mean? Like I guess the dad does, kill him at the end. It was sad. It was a sad ending. It seems like the werewolf, they never end well. Werewolf movies and stories.
And that's the same ending evocative of the Wolfman, where Sir John Talbot, Claude Rains has to kill Lon Chaney Jr. Or he kills him accidentally. This one he intentionally kills him. But
No, this is a movie that could have been a 3-hour thing according to the book. right?
Yeah.
And it just got cut down and cut down and cut down until there are just disparate elements that don't make sense together, right? Now, I think it's an entertaining movie. I think it looks great. Obviously, it's not embarrassingly bad. It's not schlock, right? But it's definitely not on the same par with some of the other Hammer films, where they do a nice job.
Especially the Terrence Fisher films. I mean,
yeah, and he did this too, didn't he?
he did this one. Yes, so this
Yeah.
is probably one of my least favorite from him. And again, I felt like they were trying, like they were like, they had a very lofty goal of elevating this material and let's have this epic saga of the werewolf, his lineage, his history, we see his pedigree, all these things like this, but it becomes irrelevant because it doesn't provide any actual context for who he is as a person or his true origins or why he has to do what he, you know what I'm saying? Like we get a little bit of that. I like the struggle of the werewolf as he's, you know, when they're at the party, for instance, he's at the party with his friend and he meets meets the girl there and he has to battle kind of his inner monster. And then of course at the end, probably the last 15 minutes of the movie are the best, where he's hopping around as the werewolf and you have the villagers with torches and pitchforks basically coming after him, and the bell tower scene.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get, his adoptive family. I thought maybe that we would do like a Frankenstein thing where they had a daughter or something. Do you know what I mean? That he would like fall in love with. You know what I'm saying? That would be like his connection to them, but not really, just kind of like this girl. But yeah, Curse of the Werewolf. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, really. I enjoyed it. I thought the atmosphere is good, but yeah, it just comes off as strange because there's just this long preamble and you're like, why don't you just get to the fucking werewolf, guys?
I will say the preamble is more entertaining than when we get to childhood. Leon as a child,
hardship.
Because it's entertaining.
And all that shit about the farmer trying to catch the werewolf or whatever, and you're okay.
That's why the evil king and his insanity and tyranny is quite entertaining, and that guy's hamming it up over the top, and it's good. But
did you notice who the attendant to the throne was? Who brought in the beggar?
No,
Desmond Llewellyn, Q from James Bond.
Really, I did not notice that. Oh,
he's like, sir, somebody's here. Right.
He tries to warn the guy too. He's like, get away. You might want to leave before he sees you're here. And
yeah,
the guy's nice.
I like when they bring in the beggar and the king makes that joke where he's like, we didn't know you were coming. We started early. And everyone just laughs their ass off. And then he just keeps going with that. He's like, oh, you should have called and said you were coming, and then they keep laughing. And I'm like, how much mileage are you going to get out of this shit, dude? Like, it was funny. It was funny the first time. I'll give you that. Like, that was a good joke. Right.
But it's
Put
like
up a chair.
That's what I love. The guy's voice, though. The voice doing that makes this very savory,
And I do like that idea dramatically of someone being thrown into a dungeon on a whim by an evil king, and then they just sit down there for 20 years because they forgot why they're there, right?
Yes.
But
of all the things that guy does, they do to each other. The one thing that really sets him over the edge is when he says, have a good night. And he's like, have a good night,
Right. He's like,
and then that throws him over the edge, of all the things.
Yeah. Are you trying to insinuate something here?
I don't know. Yeah, he definitely
I think that's what he was
insinuating a lot, but that guy did not like that.
We got good owner comment says Oliver Reed also in Hammer's Paranoiac. I did not, and a small part in the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, which is one I wish we would have watched. I guess when I look through these, there's a lot I wish we would have watched.
I watched the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll recently. It's I would say a above average good movie, not anything spectacular though. It's solid. It's probably I would say better than this. I would definitely rewatch it more than this, but it's not one of the top tier movies. Paranoiac I have not seen in a long time, and I don't remember. I think that's kind of more psychological thriller if I recall, but I'm not 100% sure. It's on the Universal set though.
Oh, really? Yeah,
it's on that red Universal set with Curse of the Werewolf and Brides of Dracula.
Well, I would say this is if they were on the come up, with Frankenstein and Dracula. I mean, this was when they were really hitting their stride in that era of the early 60s, right? Where
Yeah.
they had the formula down to a certain extent. I'm interested to maybe look into this book, The Werewolf of Paris, because it sounds like it spans generations of werewolves,
Mm.
right? People that pass it down over like 300 years, which would be kind of cool. But
I will take Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman any day. Because
and I don't think
yes, you do feel sympathy for Leon, but because we don't know him, I feel like I didn't know him as a character. He felt like nothing. He felt very blah. It's hard to sympathize with him. Whereas Lon Chaney in the Wolfman, you know him before he becomes a werewolf, while he's undergoing his transformation, and in between, and you really feel, bad for this guy. This is a victim of circumstances. Yes, he's not the most perfect man in the world, but he's a good person who's afflicted by this disease and, suffers from it, and you really feel for him. And I think that's missing from here, that key component of the werewolf.
I like the pitchfork villagers at the end. I think that the idea of a werewolf period drama has a lot of potential.
Yes.
I think it would be fun. And I'm not talking just about 19th century England, right? Which I think is what we got with Joe Johnston's Wolfman.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Again, I like this idea.
The fatal flaw of the Joe Johnston Wolfman was that Benicio, in my opinion, sorry to harp on the same point, but Benicio del Toro was not a sympathetic character at all. He was kind of a jerk in that movie. And
wasn't that his passion project? Because everyone told him he looked like Lon Chaney.
I don't know, but he did not fulfill the criteria of what Larry Talbot is as a character, in my opinion. But it's a different matter.
Okay, you ready to move on? Devil Rides Out.
I would just say great poster for Curse of the Werewolf. One of the best Hammer posters, though.
It really is. We were talking about this. One of the unfortunate things about Hammer is a lot of their posters aren't really that memorable. They were in a weird time because in the 50s, people were doing a lot of Saul Bass style minimalism, like Anatomy of a Murder, or those kinds of posters, right? Vertigo, all those Hitchcock movies.
Yeah.
And I guess the painted one sheet was kind of a little bit of a dying art at that moment. And then they were moving into more like pop art photography stuff, like very 60s. Like there's that Dracula Has Risen from the Grave poster where it's just like this attractive gal, like heaving bosoms, right? In the old deal with like two Band-Aids on her neck.
Yeah.
Like she got bitten by Dracula. Very, very Andy Warhol, right?
And it has some obnoxious
it is obnoxious.
I forgot what it is.
Yeah. It's really cringe. It's like duh
or something, right? It's like
it's like obviously.
Obviously,
right? It's obviously it's like, oh, this is very ironically detached here. I'm gonna throw this up. This is good
meta,
stuff.
It's like
yeah, it's meta. I mean, I think Dracula AD 1972 has a good poster.
Devil Rides Out has a pretty awesome poster, I will say.
Devil Rides Out poster is pretty cool.
Red, like a blood red background with the flying in on the dragon or whatever it is, the satanic.
This is so annoying. You have to turn a photo into a PowerPoint slide to be able to show it on StreamYard. Yeah, it's seriously annoying. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
PowerPoint slide?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's you hit preset and it says slides, and that's how unless I want to share my screen, which I kind of don't. So yeah, look up the poster for Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Obviously. Oh, come on. Who are we fooling here? We're gonna make
some
18
of them are pretty hideous.
movies.
I think if you look at the Brides of Dracula poster, that's pretty
horrible.
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, horrible.
But I don't know what they were thinking.
They're just being cheap. Yeah, Brides of Dracula.
But usually 50s posters, are like maybe late 50s posters. I mean, you look at the Universal posters from that time period for their sci-fi movies; they're pretty awesome. Like I have,
The Blob is good,
and Leech Woman's like 1960, so that counts. And
Leech Woman
on the Campus. Yeah, you should look up the Leech Woman. I have a daily.
Holy shit!
Or what do you call it? The thin poster for that.
Oh, she drained men of their loves and lives.
I have the
this is biography. Is this a documentary or is this a?
No, it's a sci-fi horror movie. It's really good though. I mean, it's trash, but it's fun.
It looks great poster, and then of course everyone has that Attack of the 50-Foot Woman poster.
Oh
Picture
yeah.
from the Black Lagoon is great too.
See, that's the kind of 50s posters that I like.
War of the
I
Worlds.
think those are really works of art. But Hammer,
Right.
for whatever reason, I don't know what they were doing.
Cash flow issues, which we'll talk about.
I guess.
You want to do Devil Rides Out?
Yes, very much.
I'm gonna throw up a video I made here, or not. I didn't make up it. I mean, it's the trailer and some clips.
Rex, do you believe in evil? As an idea. Do you believe in the power of darkness? As a superstition. Now there you are wrong. The power of darkness is more than just a superstition. It is a living force which can be tapped at any given moment of the night. Why, on one night of 1 year, should these people live in mortal fear?
Very cool. I picked a werewolf movie because I thought we needed to do some just werewolf visibility, because we talked about all the main stalwarts of the horror genre, but this is my favorite Hammer movie. I love this film. It was one of the first Hammer movies I ever saw too. So I don't want to say I was in for like a letdown, but it's definitely a high bar. It's
yes.
great.
Yes, and thank you so much for picking this movie, because I had never seen it before, which is crazy. I'll tell you the truth. When I saw the title for the first time, I was like, oh God, what is this going to be? Some like freaking motorcycle rider, devil worshiper thing.
Totally.
Yeah. And then I was shocked. I was totally shocked. I loved it. From like the first 5 minutes, I had a sense of what I was in for. And I loved every minute of this movie so much. And it's definitely top tier. I don't know if I'd say it's like my absolute favorite, but it's going to be top 3 probably.
Yeah, it's a solid movie. It's really cool. Well done. I really appreciate that Christopher Lee gets to be the hero in this movie, because he's so good, right? He's basically playing the role that Peter Cushing would get, but he's got a lot of like, basically the fun idea about this movie is this is sort of an identity that doesn't really exist anymore. But these guys here that you see on the screen, Christopher Lee and his buddy, whose name I can't remember,
Rex.
The plot of the movie, yeah, Rex. They're basically just like upper class guys who what they do all day is read books, learn shit, go to parties, fly around in planes and motorcycles, and just generally be cool. And they're all veterans, and they have a friend who has gotten himself into trouble with a satanic cult. And they try to, basically the plot of the film is trying to extricate him from this cult. And then when they go too far, the cult then tries to get revenge upon them and kill all of them. And it culminates in having to draw like a magic pentacle in a house as they ward off all these supernatural forces that are coming at them. And Christopher Lee, he's like a good wizard, right? He just kind of knows like, this is why, I remember hearing him say he wanted to play Gandalf. And I remember hearing that and said, no, I think you're pretty good as Saruman. But I mean, this is kind of like, if you're going to look at this as a test, I mean, he's excellent in this movie, incredibly likable. And he's got just a magnetic presence.
I really do like him as the good guy, even though he's not what you would think of as the Peter Cushing good guy. He doesn't feel quite so wholesome as the hero. Like he's definitely pure of heart, like, and his intentions are good, but there's something a little bit more with an edge to him as the good guy that I really liked. He's not like taking any BS. Like he's not your kindly good guy. He's here to talk business. And I really appreciated the scene where they're all in the circle, and they have the pillow, and they're all 4 of them are on each side. And the one guy, the lady's husband, is like, I don't believe in any of this stuff. Like, I'm just gonna leave. And he's like, he rationalizes it with him very, very logically. And he's like, are you not my friend? Are you my friend? We've known each other for a long time. Will you humor me and do me this favor of just staying in the circle? And he like has to convince him, but he's not like he's not overly malicious, but he's not also super kind about it.
Oh,
There's
take
just
charge. Like,
yes,
yeah,
yes. Peter Cushing would be a much more grandfatherly kind
true.
of soft-spoken
Oh, please, you
hero.
must.
You know,
Yeah.
your Professor Van Helsing or such like that. So that was an interesting twist as your lead hero.
Cobra Malibu Unlimited says, I like how true to the book this one is. I wouldn't know. I've never read the book. I know Dennis Wheatley was a very popular author. But no, I've not read the book. I'd be curious to, for sure.
Yeah, I want to get these
originally called The
next
Devil's
bunch.
Bride. Releases The Devil's Bride in England as well. Go ahead.
No, I think Devil's Bride in the United States, if I recall, and
Oh, is
Devil's
it
Bride in
opposite?
England.
Okay.
Because the Blu-ray is The Devil's Bride, like the title screen.
Oh, it is?
On my copy from
Oh, really?
Shout
You
Factory,
Shout Factory version?
Says The Devil's Bride.
Oh, maybe mine does too. I have to remember. I can't remember. But
the cover art says The Devil Rides Out, but
got it. And there's a book on tape version read by Christopher Lee on YouTube. Well, I know what I'm listening to tonight.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Perfect. Okay, very cool. Yeah, it's an excellent movie. I remember I really like the characters. I love that idea of, Rex, like, oh, I'm just out on my plane. We're just like really cool English. What would you call them?
They're like aristocrats.
Aristocrats.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Aristocrats, or like they're like your Bruce Wayne type of character.
Yeah, they're living the life of the mind.
Playboys, out there for a good
Super
time, but
cool.
altruistic.
Yes. Like, where'd they all go?
Times have changed.
I know, they're cool as hell. I'm like, these guys are great. I would love to have seen more films of like Rex and Christopher Lee, like going around like solving crimes and stuff, right?
This is a very 30s, and this is what I really liked, is that the book was written in the 30s, and it has that feel of that pulp 30s aesthetic. And what I mean is that I noticed this about the characterizations of the two leads. You have Christopher Lee, who is in the audio commentary, they called him, I think, the savant, I think they called him, but I would have called him the guru or the master. Like he's the expert. He knows about this material very well. And you have the novice, who is his sidekick, Rex, right? So you have the knowledgeable one and the one who is inexperienced in that. And that's very common if you look at, like, I think in the Dr. Fu Manchu books, there's the Dr. Nayland Smith and Dr. Petrie. There's the same dynamic about that. And you could even extrapolate that to Sherlock Holmes and Watson, the same regard.
Right.
It's definitely got that going on. And I also liked how, because this is 1968 or whatever year this is, they can dabble in this occult stuff just to a limit. And I think it's more effective than if this movie was made nowadays by someone like, it would probably be made by Rob Zombie, to be honest. And you would see excessive amounts of just blood, satanic imagery, all these things. And it's like, it's overkill. It's just disturbing enough what they do. And the implication of what else they're doing is kind of more terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just the weird stuff of like, there's a basket with like,
With
chickens and shit in here. Like that's bad, right?
Yeah.
I like that. Chris, really,
this
is satanic. It's like, what? I love that. And and I like too how the satanic cult is also it's almost very much like that. What the hell is that called? The Aleister Crowley heretical group of the Golden Dawn or whatever, which was real, right? I mean, he was you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Someone in the chat's going to hit me with that one, but that was a real thing in England. Like it was like the Hellfire Club. Like these guys were, whether it was performative Satanism, just for like edginess purposes, to shake things up, shake the bag at the party. I don't know, but like these existed, these secret societies.
It's much more sinister with its implications that you see this very elegant, appears very wealthy group of people, and they seem like they come from all walks of life, all different cultures and nations in that meeting room. I mean, it looks like people from all over the world have gathered together for this moment, and they're talking. They've crashed the party, so to speak, and people start to get very upset when they notice that they are not members of the group, and now there are more than 13 people, and it starts building one thing after another, and you kind of can figure out what they're going to do, what they're into, but it's more fun that it kind of leads you on. They're like, we're a bunch of devil worshippers, you know, like that's what probably nowadays it'd be like, welcome to the cult, you know.
Yeah, welcome to the redneck militia. Oh no. No, you can't be in the red, right? That's what it would be now.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
These people have absolutely no faith in democracy.
The subtlety of these aberrations that appear are like,
yes,
that was the most haunting scene in this movie. Was I guess is this supposed to be like a genie?
That was the scariest scene, because it's not like Satan is here. It's just like, uh-oh, don't look at this guy. This is a fucking, demon, right?
Yeah. Or it looked like it was supposed to be like a genie, a djinn,
like exactly like a desert djinn, yeah,
sure.
Right.
And it's his eyes are yellow and mesmerizing, looking into this guy, and he cracks the most evil smile imaginable, just enough. And there's like, don't look into his eyes, don't look at him. The guy is like, I have to look into his eyes, and
don't do it. Yeah, Christopher Lee just. Yeah, it's a great little exciting movie. Lots of fun characters, like even the couple who is like Rex's brother-in-law and his sister, or who somebody, right? And they're just hanging out in the they bring all these problems their way, and everyone has to team up. Like I like that, and I like the girl that Rex falls in love with. She's very pretty. She has very much like a flapper, like early 20s French girl quality to her, right?
Yes,
someone like maybe that like who wrote The Great Gatsby? That he would write about. Fitzgerald would write about. It's like one of his girls that he fell in love with or something in like Summer Dreams. But no, really successful movie. I think that if a modern person were to watch it, some of the special effects and apparitions that appear in the circle would maybe be a little quaint, but I think they're effective just because they're interesting and different. Like the horse, and it turns into a skeleton guy. Then we have the giant spider. That was a really effective movie and very well done. And it moves at a clip. There's no real. Yeah, there's no
Curse of the Werewolf BS here.
No, there's no stretching it. Yeah, it was a great book to adapt, and I guess it was not successful. That surprises me.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, I mean, and this was cutting edge for Hammer when you really think about it. This is not a subject matter that they had dabbled into, as far as I'm aware, by this time. Like this is totally different from your vampires, your werewolves, your mummies, and all that. Yeah. This is hardcore stuff, and it definitely has a different like tone and feel to it. And I think it's because it's adapted by Richard Matheson, who has a very distinct style to his writing as well. And it's not your there's a Jimmy Sangster is the usual writer for most of these Hammer films and things like that. It has a different cadence to the way people speak, the way people act, and all that. I know he's adapting the book, but Matheson was one of the most interesting, best sci-fi and horror writers. Probably, I would put him of all time. But mostly for his Twilight Zone work, for instance. But I Am Legend as well, right? And many others.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about Richard Matheson on some other topic as well, that he had done an adaptation of something. I'm trying to remember what that was. Yeah, obviously he's a legend for sure. No, this was a favorite of mine
too. Did you notice the title sequence for this movie?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like
it's very elaborate.
And I guess this movie wouldn't have been a hit. I mean, we were coming into 1968. Hammer was having financial problems at this time, right? Mm-hmm. It was getting to the point where American movies were becoming a little more hard-edged, to where when something like Curse of Frankenstein came out, it was very hard-hitting for American audiences. You were having a relaxing of the Hollywood code at that time, and Michael Carreras, who took over from his father in the in the early 70s, 71, he finally took over. He didn't want to come back to the family business, but he relented and did, and found himself, he started to like and enjoy working for his family's company. And then his dad was trying to sell the company off about 1969, 70, right? He saw that the end was coming. They were having a difficult time. They started to have a more difficult time getting funding. They usually split the cost and the distribution with American studios. That's why you can buy those 4-packs from Warner Brothers of all the Dracula movies. But I think Dracula AD 70 was the last, 72 was the last co-funded Warner movie. And they were trying to reach out to a lot of British, production studios and stuff to make up the other half of the budget. And when they kept having movies flop, they had almost zero cash flow coming in. So when you have a movie like Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, which we're going to talk about, they made it, they got the money to make it. They didn't have any money to promote or distribute it. So it was just a total failure. And it was just a self-defeating cycle for them after that.
That's sad because Devil Rides Out and Captain Kronos, I mean, the direction that the company was heading in at this time, I would have loved to have seen so many more like that, like those two, into the 70s and the 80s and beyond. I mean, I think there's so many opportunities that were left, on the cutting room floor based on that. It's really a disservice to the genre.
Yeah, and Seven Golden Vampires was part of the deal that bankrupted them.
Yeah. Yikes. Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that.
This was really, really good. I really enjoyed this one a lot. I will say, I forgot what I was just going to say. Oh,
Hammer. Go ahead.
Either.
This good owner says Hammer did The Devil's Own at this, and it was delving into witchcraft and Satanism with Joan Fontaine.
Oh, I do want to see that. Yes.
Satanism was probably becoming a little hot around this time because of all the hippies. They were doing all sorts of weird occult shit, right?
Yeah. And Rosemary's Baby is what year? That's got to be around this time.
71.
Too. No, I think it's in the 60s if I'm not mistaken.
Is it?
Yeah, let me check it. 68.
But I know what you mean when you said like, "Hey, I thought this was going to be some kind of like AIP motorcycle." Yes. Or do you ever see the Race with the Devil with Warren Oates?
No.
Oh, that's pretty good. It's Warren Oates and Peter Fonda they're with their wives in an RV and they accidentally stumble upon a biker gang satanic ceremony, and then it's just a giant chase movie for the rest of it. It's pretty solid, pretty cool old 70s.
I've seen Werewolves on Wheels. It's a Satanism movie with werewolves and biker.
That sounds sick.
It's
and all the biker gang guys turned into werewolves.
Yeah, they come across like a satanic temple or something, and they crash it, and then they get cursed.
Okay,
it's pretty trash.
Got it. I would maybe have just not focused on them. I would have had like a hero, and then he would have run into a bunch of motorcycle werewolves rather than learn how they get that way. But okay, The Witches. Have not seen The Witches. Another Nigel Neal banger.
Yeah, those are the interesting ones that like they made with actual real movie stars like Joan Fontaine, and then as I saw in the book, they made a couple with Betty Davis as well. So it's just kind of weird that I wouldn't even think that those are Hammer for I've heard of those, but hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, they had a lot of that they brought in. They really were good at cultivating like female talent because they kind of had their stable of men, which is like 2 or 3 guys really. I mean, Cushing and Lee, and then they kind of interchanged, whatever guy was kind of up and coming. But they were really great at like cultivating female actresses, as I think you see in Captain Kronos as well. With what's her name?
I did not catch her name, but she was great in the movie.
She was. I remember reading an old. I think I brought this up in the last episode, but yeah, Caroline Munro. She was quite that little hottie at the time, I guess.
Had that's her. Yeah, Caroline Munro. Carla.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that she had a name in the movie. If they ever said it. But
yeah, she was quite pretty. She was in Spy Who Loved Me as a villainous Bond girl. She went to star in the Roger Corman ripoff of Star Wars, Star Crash in '78. I think it was Roger Corman.
Star Crash is Luigi.
No, New World
Cosi.
Pictures.
Luigi Cosi.
Hey.
The Roger Corman one is Battle Beyond the Stars, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where James Cameron did
he did some of the special effects, right, for that
paintings. Yeah. Spy Who Loved Me. She was in Maniac, which I still haven't seen.
Oh no, Roger Corman didn't direct that though, but he did produce it. Battle Beyond the Stars. It was directed by Jimmy T. Murakami. Sorry.
Hey, we're gonna. Can you be racist against Italian people? You can, can't you? They're like the last group you can do a little impression of. We're making a Star Wars movie, right?
Sure.
Sorry to my Italian audience.
It's okay. No offense taken.
Are you Italian?
Yes. Not
Hey,
like
okay. What?
ancestry.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I made that one awkward for you. But Dracula 8072, she got her start in Carolyn Monroe. And I think she's probably Italian, right? And she was in Dracula 8072, which is not great, but enjoyable. And so they ported her over to Captain Kronos. Do you have anything to say about Devil Rides Out?
No,
Anything
but
we
I would.
missed?
We've talked about like what kind of movie, which Hammer movies would you recommend to someone if you were just starting out? And this is definitely one that I would add to that list with
For sure.
Curse of Frankenstein and what else did we say? The Mummy.
The Mummy's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I would put this up there with Curse of Frankenstein and The Mummy for ones that I would recommend to new people interested in getting into Hammer.
I would hesitate to recommend Captain Kronos for like that first top 5 viewing. Just I think it's excellent. I love the movie, but it doesn't give you a good idea necessarily of like Hammer holistically, right? It's like something new they were trying that should have worked but didn't, right?
It's a it has a very unique feel to it. That is a specific vision in mind. Seems like the writer director had a very specific vision of the film he wanted to make, which is not in the house style that we're used to and accustomed to seeing. Devil Rides Out is a Terrence Fisher film. It feels like a Terrence Fisher film. It feels like we're now in the late 60s as opposed to where we were before. We're aesthetically kind of changing and adapting with the times, but we still have that same feel to it. And we have our actors, which we are accustomed to as well, to kind of ground us into that world. But Captain Kronos is a totally different animal altogether. It's great. I mean, like you said, I love that movie too. But
and it was a change of pace for the studio because it operated a lot like I would imagine the Bond company did. That was a family-owned company. They had their stable of guys. What's
Eon
that?
Productions Ltd.
Exactly. They had their stable
Cubby
of people.
Broccoli.
Cubby.
Broccoli.
Yeah, Cubby Broccoli. And
I forgot the other guy.
Who's the other guy?
Actually dropped out, right?
He dropped out after like
Harry Saltzman.
Harry Saltzman. Yep, that's right.
Albert R. Broccoli's Eon Productions Ltd. presents.
Yeah. But like then I think they've gotten away from it now because they just stopped doing that after Lazenby. They stopped having that stable of people and they were just like, what hot director can we bring in? You know?
Oh, I love that all the Roger Moore ones they're almost all directed by the same guy. I think like John Glenn is
there's like 3 of them that rotated out.
Yeah.
It was like John Glenn. Oh God. Who did there God, I shouldn't remember. I should know this stuff. My recollect, Terrence Young.
Lewis Gilbert is another one, right?
Yep.
For yours, only John Glenn.
I
Live and Let Die. Start with why is it the novel? Jeez.
They just cycled them out.
Yeah, they made like a whole bunch. But all the rest of the production crew was mostly the same too. Oh, Guy Hamilton, yes.
He had Goldeneye. Yeah.
Goldfinger.
Because Guy Hamilton was the one that really, and Goldfinger. He was the one that really broke out like from that group and like got hired to do other stuff. Like he was on deck to direct Superman, but he couldn't because they were going to make it in Italy and he had to pay taxes there, so he couldn't do it. Or in London, and he owed taxes to the crown, so he couldn't do it. Cobra Malibu Unlimited says, I've hung out with Carolyn Monroe, an incredibly sweet lady. Wow. I'd like to hear more about what that was about.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was reading old Starlog, and she had like a fan club where they were, you could get her fan club magazine.
Cool.
It's beautiful in this movie. It's beautiful in Captain. It's beautiful in Captain.
She probably still does work, and she's still alive. She's only 74,
guarantee it.
Something like that. So
yeah, guarantee it. You want to see a little Captain Kronos clip?
Yes. Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. As soon as I get it up here, I have everything ready to roll. Sorry, guys. Live streams. You know what? I listen to big channels though, and they have the same kind of bullshit. Okay, here we go. A little trailer and some clips to follow.
In the 18th century in Central Europe, a black terror swept across the face of the land. The curse of vampirism, which had been a half-forgotten memory for hundreds of years, returned with a fury that struck unholy fear into the hearts of every man, woman, and child. One man dared to make a stand against this evil epidemic. One man dared to hurl a challenge of cold steel against the terror of the undead. He was Captain Kronos, vampire hunter.
Very good stuff. And I highlighted in this little clip reel I put together just some of the really excellent little filmmaking moments in this movie, right? There's some great stuff. I'll point it out as we go. But Ryan, what'd you think of Captain Kronos?
I loved it. Absolutely loved this one. And again, thank you, because I had not seen this one, and it's probably not one that I would have ever really put much faith in as a later film from them. It kind of has that weird mid-70s weird vibes to the way it looks, and I kind of
no more Technicolor.
You know, yeah, exactly. It doesn't have that lush Devil Rides Out has those beautiful deep colors that I love. This one feels a little bit more grimy and such, but absolutely loved it. I thought it added so much to vampire mythology, which, you know, a tried and true kind of like set of rules that you normally expect from a vampire movie, and now we've turned that on its head. We've added layers and layers and layers of new ideas and new mythology in one movie, and very cool.
And the writer initially said, he goes, Captain Kronos can fight whoever. It doesn't have to be vampires, right?
Yeah.
He could keep going on and on. And he said he came up with him basically to be like a Marvel Comics character, and the design is totally there. I'm surprised they didn't license him, or he looks like totally like a Marvel Comics hero, especially of that time in the 70s. Like it would be in like Marvel Presents or something. You know,
Marvel Premiere.
Marvel Premiere, or you know what I mean, like that they're trying out, dude.
But yeah, I was going to say,
I told you this.
This feels like
I collect Marvel Premiere magazine just because the comics, just because I like all the weird, goofy shit they were like trying out. Yeah, but go ahead.
Interesting stuff. I was going to say, he feels like a comic book character, like comic book superhero, right? Totally. There's something about him that I would have loved to have seen more of this character. They don't tell you much about him, but they tell you just enough. You know what I mean? Like this feels like, and I would hate to see this nowadays. Like this is made nowadays, because what would you get? You would get the origin. Is the origin so important, or is it more kind of interesting that we don't know very much about him, other than he tells us in about 1 or 2 lines of dialogue that he went away to war, he came back, and he found that his mother and his sister had been turned into vampires, and he had to kill them in order to set their souls free. And that's how he became, kind of this adventure hero. Is it more or less kind of evocative of or interesting that we don't have to see that? He just kind of tells us, and now we know a lot about him. Otherwise, nowadays we'd have to go through the whole freaking long, drawn out origin. And how does Captain Kronos become Captain Kronos? So, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely, it would. But he's just like a cool, enigmatic presence.
Yes.
He looks like a Jack Kirby drawing. Like he looks like Commandy or something, right, in his face.
He guys kind of got Michael York vibes going on too.
He does. He's handsome.
Fun,
They dubbed him, even though they said, because he's Swedish, but they dubbed him.
Oh, it sounded like he was dubbed. Yeah, for sure.
Even though people said like his accent was completely fine, it was like worthless to do that, but they did it anyway. But he's just a cool character. Like his costume design is excellent. You could tell with the little K emblem they were going for something, right? I just, I'm going to play this again just because there's like this. I love this. Look at this. Pan up. What a great way and then a great framing device. Like that's just
a lot of really good framing. That's
a great
coach too, obviously, with the cemetery.
The white hand coming on the coach, and you're like, oh, who's that? Right? I mean, just like great little flourishes. I mean, it's really well done. I mean, this is great, right?
Yes.
What a great gag this is. I mean, that you think this is the shadow of the cross, obviously, then it's like some kind of, it's the, I don't know what he's doing, but it works, right?
What that is exactly? Did they ever really?
It's supposed to be the Dracula.
Is it? But how? What? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
like
was
he's
gonna say the other
saying.
thing that makes him feel like a comic book character is his kind of he has the sidekick, the hunchback sidekick, who's like a expert on the occult and vampirism, and Captain Kronos is a very enlightened individual. He treats this man with respect, the respect that he deserves, because he is a very smart, intelligent person, a compassionate person, and he even defends him to the point where he has to like kill off a bunch of these barflies that are hassling them. And I really
And
like
who have
that.
been hired to kill him.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
really like that scene because it shows there's a mutual respect and legitimate friendship between the two of them. And the hunchback guy is naturally upset because he even though he realized he tells him they were hired to do that to you, it still hurts him because he has this physical deformity. And
Yeah.
Carolyn Monroe tells him something very nice like beauty fades, but a kind soul endures forever. And it's like there's such a nice little group together.
They are a nice trio.
Yes, and I would have loved for the girl to go with them at the end of the movie. Why didn't
Yeah,
she
why
go with
couldn't
them?
she? She could have gone. She helped. She was
Yes,
good,
she
right?
puts herself in danger for him.
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't
Like they
ask.
could
Doesn't
have
ask
done
that.
that where she came with. I mean, if you didn't want to bring her back for the next movie, just have her not be there. But I mean, like no, they work well together. It's a very visually it's appealing movie to where you could see like I'm surprised there's not more fan art of this. I'm surprised they haven't made action figures or something. I think they did some kind of a comic book thing, but it's really such a shame it didn't find its audience because it's very good. And I wish we could have had more movies. I like that they expanded the vampire lore by having it be that the vampire sucks life out of you. So you become old and ugly and gross, right? Which is like shocking and terrible. And there's a lot of vampire kills in this movie, like a lot.
A lot.
Where I'm
And
like, come on,
and
Kronos, get on it, brother. Like, can you hurry up?
the method of the vampire bite is also unusual in that it's not the neck; he bites them like on the lip,
Right.
which is weird.
I
But
also like his
it adds that layer of like, oh, I'm not expecting this.
I also like that town doctor character who
Oh
brings
man,
them to and then he
tragic.
has to yeah, that sucked. And that they just have to be matter of factly like, well, sorry, bro, you have to die. But that kind of like admirable quality of the person who gets bitten by the vampire just saying, well, you gotta fucking kill me, right? I think nowadays if that people you wouldn't have that sort of honored nobility culture to where that's what you would do. You'd be like, no, fuck you. I'll find a way to cure me, right? But no, I
And
was going to say that
that
yeah,
character that seems like the character that you think is going to turn on them at some point, right? He seems kind
yeah,
of weak-willed, kind of like he doesn't have what it takes to get the job done, and he's gonna sell them out, but he doesn't, and he's the victim of tragedy. And they try to Captain Kronos, at least at the beginning, tries to actually see is there something I can do for him, because I was bitten by a vampire and I survived it. But when they realize like it's too late, the guy even says, you have to kill me. And and I think the hunchback guy tells him like you would ask the same if it was you.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
and the poor guy has to endure like not just a stake through the heart. That doesn't work. Hanging him doesn't work. And then finally the silver cross impales him or cuts him or something, and it kills him. Because not all vampires can be killed by a stake through the heart in Captain Kronos
no,
mythology.
they can't. They're like a new type of vampire, and it's a fun villainous scheme of that like family and the son and daughter who I thought were up to something, but it turns out
Yes.
they were oblivious to their mom's devious plans to
Yes.
bring their swordsman father back to life, the greatest swordsman, which kind of, recalls obviously like Errol Flynn movies, the sort of swashbuckling fencing scene, which
Mhm.
is fun. And also a little bit back to Hammer's origins where they had those Robin Hood movies and they had lots of, I'm sure Captain Clegg has a certain swashbuckling element to it as well.
Yes, definitely.
And it kind of brings it back to the 30s a little bit. It's fun. It's a great concept. It's a great character. And I was going to say, it's probably a better analogy to this, but the Hunchback Doctor and Kronos, they're kind of reminding me of like the Punisher and Microchip a little bit,
Oh
like
yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
dynamic, right?
yeah. I
Well,
would say so.
I'm the physical guy. This is my nerdy guy that does all my little quotidian things and research, or like an Alfred, you know?
No, for sure. That's what made it have that comic book quality to it, you know?
Yeah. That they're like from the get, like here are our characters, and you can see how they could factor in all sorts of different adventures and stories.
And I love
I
the
liked it.
relationship between him and Caroline Munro, though, too. That is a very, very well done, you know, love story between the two of them, because it's like she doesn't have to go with them. She maybe feels some kind of obligation at first that they rescued her, and I'm going to go with you. And they tell her, like, you can go whenever you want or whatever. And then they kind of just naturally builds this, you know, the sexual tension is so high between them, you know. And
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't know why. It's like it killed me at the end that they let her, that she just stayed behind.
I know, because Captain
Oh,
Kronos is like super
yeah.
handsome and cool.
I know. I just
Right?
want to see them together, you know?
He's like smoking. He's like, and yet Horst Jansen is like cool. That or Horst Janssen or however you probably pronounce it, right? But he's cool. I don't think
Yeah.
he branched out much into sort of English language film, but he's a great presence.
Yeah.
That was
He
great taking with
is
him.
still alive. 88.
Really?
Yep. He's
88.
looks like he's German.
German.
Yep. He
Oh,
made
I
a
think this is a different guy.
lot of German films, according to this.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm looking at a different Horst Jansen here. Okay, Horst. Got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
Man,
Still
a
looks
lot
good.
of
Guy's a good looking old man, isn't he?
Yeah, looks good. And a lot of TV. All
Huh.
German language. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, what a pity. What a shame. Because this is good stuff. I mean,
Absolutely
this has
good.
potential to go to very interesting places. And what's interesting is that this guy, Brian Clemens, he's the
Right.
writer and director of the film. He never directed any other movies.
It's terrible because it sounds like Captain Kronos. Didn't get bad reviews. It wasn't, they didn't promote it. They didn't have the distribution. They were running out of money.
It's weird to see it's a Paramount distributed Hammer film, which I have not seen others. That I've come
Really?
across.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think
it's
it was
also-
pretty. Yeah, they were going around hat in hand to anybody and asking for, to try to get stuff out because they just needed money. They were trying a
Yeah.
TV show at this time. It
20th
was really
Century
getting
Fox
bad for 'em.
distributed Devil Rides Out, which is pretty funny because now I guess Walt Disney Company owns that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got it.
Can have the theme parks,
Yeah. I'm surprised they don't.
put it in Fantasyland.
Yeah, it's really too bad. Brian Clemens. Yeah, seemed like a sharp guy. Looks like he did a lot
He wrote a lot of movies.
He
but
wrote
did not
Highlander 2.
direct The Quickening.
You ever seen Highlander 2?
I have not.
Have you seen Highlander 1?
Probably.
Oh my
but
god,
it's been a while.
dude. What a storied franchise, and you have no Highlander knowledge.
Sorry. Well,
Can be only one on
you
this
can
stream.
be my Beetlejuice,
Yeah, right. No, dude, Highlander 1 is a solid, very cool concept science fiction fantasy movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when it's over, it's like that's pretty good. And then they made the second one, and it is the most outlandish, insane, like goofball sequel. Like, I don't want to get too off topic here, but Highlander 1, it's about a race of immortal people who they want to become the last standing Highlander, right? And they have to get the prize, which is like being alive last. And you can only kill a Highlander by cutting their head off. So there's like a villainous guy played by the guy who does the voice of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. Fuck, I can't remember his name. But then it's over. The good guy wins.
Sorry.
And Sean Connery's in. He's like his Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay. And then the sequel, they just go, hey, in the sequel, it takes place 200 years in the future, and Highlander needs to save the atmosphere of the planet Earth. It's like, what the fuck? How'd you come up with that? Right? It's like totally out of bounds. It's like crazy.
Oh, interesting. I see Virginia Madsen, Michael Ironside, Sean Connery, John C. McGinley. Interesting cast.
Yeah, on Highlander 2, it's an insane movie. It's insane.
What is The Quickening, though?
The Quickening is like a power they have or something. Like when I don't remember. It's like they get. I don't know. It's like
considered one of the worst films ever made.
Yeah. I don't know if I put it that high, but
Oh, Clancy Brown's in the first one. Interesting.
yeah, Clancy Brown. This guy does Mr. Krabs' voice on SpongeBob.
Oh, come on, man. He's Lex Luthor.
What? Okay, he's in other
Lex
stuff too.
Luthor
He's like in a
in
lot of other movies.
Superman, the animated
Oh, is that
series.
right?
Yeah.
Got it.
I love seeing him. He'll pop up in modern movies too all the time, and I'm like, oh, it's Clancy Brown.
Yeah,
like,
he's cool.
He was in something. Oh, he was in John Wick 4. That's where I saw him recently.
Oh, really?
And I was like,
Really?
oh, Clancy Brown's in this movie. Good for him.
Yeah, he's the villain in the first one. He's good. Yeah, what else is he in? Oh yeah, Shawshank. Okay.
He's in like everything. He was in Promising Young Woman. Saw him turn up in there. Chappaquiddick. He was even in that.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, he's like one of the lawyer guys. Oh yeah, Blue Steel. Oh, you ever seen Blue Steel with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes, but I'm not remembering.
Underrated Catherine Bigelow movie. He's the love interest to Jamie Lee Curtis in that, and he's pretty good.
Oh,
it's not bad.
Catherine Bigelow. What she hasn't done? Has she done anything since The Hurt Locker?
Oh yeah. Oh,
she did Zero Dark 30 afterwards, but then since then,
then
what's Detroit? I never even heard of this one.
I didn't either.
Okay.
She has some great films. Point Break, Near Dark, and Strange Days. Like those are all kick-ass movies.
Oh man, Point Break, it's rough.
I love that
it's
movie.
So great, to be honest.
Badass. Gets me hyped.
We'll do Catherine Bigelow one day of her movies.
Well, I'm gonna review Strange Days here. So,
okay.
Which I think is just
K-19,
awesome.
The Widowmaker.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
She didn't do U571. I always get that confused with that.
Yeah, different one. Oh, was this any good? Did she make this? Oh no, she didn't. Okay, never mind.
What?
That Triple Frontier, which I never saw, that had like Oscar Isaac, Ben Affleck, Pedro Pascal, and Garrett Hedlund. It's like a great cast, and they're all like special forces guys or something.
It's not made that many movies, and honestly, The Hurt Locker didn't do anything for me.
You know what? I'm with you on that. I was really underwhelmed by The Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
I really underwhelmed by it. I haven't
Zero
watched
Dark
it in many
30.
years.
Zero Dark 30 is really good, but Hurt
The last
Locker,
30 minutes are really good.
No, Zero Dark 30 is. I think it's worth. I think it holds itself in. It's not like amazing. It's not like the best movie ever made, but like it's pretty good. Hurt Locker was just like boring.
Yeah, I didn't understand the appeal of Hurt Locker. I mean, I get it, I guess, but like it didn't strike me.
No.
And I didn't find it to be incredibly suspenseful like everybody else, I suppose thought. But
it was one of those movies that people felt like they had to say was really good, you know. Did you
Can I
see
tell you
Hurt Locker? It was
The
amazing.
Hurt Locker.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was almost as good as Avatar.
Wow. That's the same year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She was up against JC for the best director.
Yes, she was. She beat him.
Her old ex-husband, which, by the way, they are just like, I don't know why they ever broke up because they're a perfect match. You know what I mean? Like they wrote Strange Days together, and it's like both of them like coming together on a movie, and you're like, oh my god, this is like amazing. They need to team up way more.
Personalities have got to be super headstrong. I mean, like type A personality for both, right? I mean, come on.
Cameron is like a maniac, right? Yeah, I could see why. I mean, he really punched above his weight with her for sure.
I'm looking at that year's Oscar Best Picture nominees, and I'm like, you're telling me that The Hurt Locker was better than Inglourious Bastards, or I mean, I would say it's better than Avatar. The competition was Avatar, Inglourious Bastards, District 9, The Blind Side, Up in the Air, Precious,
wow.
Serious Man. I think Inglourious Bastards would have been a better choice than The Hurt Locker, to be honest.
I like Serious Man.
I have not seen that. Was that good? Joel and Ethan Coen?
Yeah, it's funny.
What is An Education? See, like these movies like this shouldn't ever be nominated. An Education.
Yeah, everyone.
Like
I've seen that.
You saw?
It's okay.
Oh, Rosamund Pike is in it. Oh.
Yeah, it's Peter Sarsgaard. It's like about a teacher like having sex with a student. I don't remember much about it. I remember I enjoyed it when I watched it.
Coming of age story it's like about a teenage girl in 1960s suburban London and how her life changes with the arrival of a playboy nearly twice her age. Lone Scherfig directed.
Yeah, it was okay. I remember it was good. People dressed nicely in it.
He also,
but yeah, that kind of thing. It's like
a movie called Wilbur Wants to Kill Himself.
Oh, really? I'm sure that's pretty good. By Lone Surfing. What happened to Lone
Lone-
Surfing?
Yes, that's
Lone.
her other movie. Wilbur Wants to Kill Himself.
Okay, looks like she made a few other, like the Astronaut Wives Club. Is that a thing?
Did you like Up in the Air? Did you see that one?
I did not. No,
Oh,
I
very
like.
good.
Yeah,
Very good.
I like.
Jason Reitman.
Yeah, that was kind of his breakout. Oh no, I guess he had done Juno at this point, didn't he? Yeah, it was
Yes.
based on that Walter Curran book. I like Walter Curran. He's kind of a smart guy.
But has he done anything recently? Oh, he did the Joe Ghostbusters. Yeah. He did
Why would he
Ghostbusters
do
Afterlife.
that?
He did
Did you see that?
Ghostbusters Afterlife. It was really good.
No way.
I liked it.
No fucking way.
I think, oh God, it pissed me off. Like the Red Letter Media people did the review of that, and they're like, "This is for people who think they know what a Ghostbusters movie should be." But I was like, God, it's like, come on. It's like, it's not gonna reinvent the wheel here, but like, it's fun. It delivered exactly what you would want. It's basically like a remake of the first movie, but with the kids. It's like Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's what the whole Stranger Things thing. I'm like, I've seen this like 10 fucking times. They ripped it off in
Good.
it.
It was good.
Like,
Paul Rudd.
I mean, the whole kid thing. Yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. I think Ghostbusters is a good movie. I see Ghostbusters as existing within like films like Caddyshack and like some of those 80s comedies. And that's kind of where it lives for me. But like, it's risen to this level of like, oh, it's like a Back to the Future style, Star Wars style franchise. And I've just never seen it that way. I don't care enough about the mythology of Ghostbusters, really. I never have. I think it's a very funny and effective, funny, great movie, but I'm not like
I feel the same way, and I think that's why maybe I was able to enjoy that movie, because I'm not like one of these hardcore devotees of Ghostbusters. I think it respects. I mean, God, the movie's made by the original director's son. I think there's a certain level of respect and admiration for the source material there that you have to kind of give him credit that he's homaging, his father's work there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess the purists didn't care for it, but what will they enjoy? I guess at this point.
What will it take?
Yeah,
will the purists not like it?
I don't know. I guess the Red Letter Media, they didn't like it. So, he also directed The Front Runner, which I would highly recommend. Is an excellent film about Gary Hart with Hugh Jackman.
Oh, really?
Hart. Yeah, really, really good movie.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. I love like little political scandal movies. And stuff.
It's a very low key movie. Just like telling the story about it's so amazing what in 1987 was considered catastrophic to your presidential run.
Oh, right.
It's so laughable.
Now, what did he do?
He had an affair. He had an extramarital affair, and it ruined his campaign. He had to drop out in the primary. Now. Yeah. I mean, nowadays that's nothing. Who doesn't have a extramarital affair, running for office? Yeah, that's nothing now. Yeah. So, I mean, I would highly recommend it. It's great performance by Hugh Jackman. It's, I don't think a lot of people remember. I mean, I think people who were alive then remember Gary Hart, but like, I remember telling other people like, oh yeah, I saw the Gary Hart movie. And they're like, who's that? I wouldn't know. Really? Come on. That was like who was he? I don't remember. He was a U.S. Senator. He ran for president in 84 in the primary. And he had a probably better shot than Mondale at ousting Reagan. I mean, no one was going to oust Reagan at that time. But, yeah, it wasn't going to happen. But if you had this kind of young, kind of upstart kind of guy that he's a Colorado Democrat, kind of moderate, middle of the road kind of guy. Good looking family, all that. That was somebody that, offered a stark contrast. Rather than, Walter Mondale, but he totally imploded his campaign and, had to drop out. And I think his political career ended too. Hugh Jackman was in a decent movie called Bad Education in 2019, which was kind of good. It was about like a beloved principal in a California school who like embezzled like millions from the school. It's pretty good. Like, why isn't he in more stuff? Like, I mean, I guess he doesn't need the money, but like he could do these little movies like that. like the
Well, he
front
does
runner.
stuff like that. I just don't see like The
Reminiscence
Greatest Showman or something. You know.
or like Reminiscence. Why?
Well, I
I
don't know. I
watched
mean,
that. You know what? I just was looking at this. I actually did watch this, but it was so bad that I
really,
barely remember it.
I don't know. I don't. I wonder if Hugh Jackman really is that big of a star, or if he just people like him as Wolverine.
I think people just like him as Wolverine. But The Greatest Showman made a boatload of money.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, people love
All right,
that movie too. By the
I
way,
didn't see it.
I did not see it either. I'm not into musicals, but
The Greatest Show.
I know some people that are obsessed with the soundtrack for that.
He was the greatest show that ever was.
Do we really want to see him in Deadpool 3?
Do you really want to see Deadpool 3?
Or do you really want to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in Deadpool 3?
Do you really want to see The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires?
Oh, sorry, we got really off topic.
No, that's all right. That's okay. I got a hard out here at 9 now, I'll tell you that. But what did you think of Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, brother?
A bit of a letdown, I'm sorry to say. I was not
a lot to like.
I could not get into this movie at all. Felt horribly disjointed, all over the place.
What are you talking about?
It was tough for me.
It's pretty. Okay.
I'm not super into kung fu martial arts, to be honest with you. It's
Got
not
it.
really my thing. I do admire and respect a good one, but just the sheer spectacle of it doesn't really do much for me. This felt very confusing, felt very nonsensical, I want to say, and I just couldn't get into the story at all.
It's not as fun as I remember it being on my rewatch. There are things I like about the design elements. I think are fun. I like the way the Seven Golden Vampires look. I like the cinematography. They really went all out with like lots of different like neon pastel colors, which I think is fun and looks good. But yeah, there's lots of just like hanger on goofball characters. Like, oh, here are all my brothers. They are the two twins that have swords, right? I mean, this kind of like kung fu movie logic really pervaded like 1980s thinking of like, okay, G.I. Joe, this is the sword guy. Here's this guy. This is the ship guy. Ninja Turtles, he's this katana guy, right? But I think that it's fun to see this sort of like melding of two worlds. I'm a fan of like Shaw Brothers, like Hong Kong kung fu movies. I think they're really fun. I got that Arrow box set with like King Boxer and boxers from Shang Tsung and Mighty Peking Man and stuff. And I think those are really exciting, So
I'm a novice on that. I'll admit I don't know much about that. So there's probably some lack of appreciation there that I am not seeing.
Well, I think this is it's a watered down Hammer movie and it's a watered down Shaw Brothers movie too. Like you have the influence of other ones, like the 5 Deadly Venoms are kind of like the 7 vampires, right? They like to have like multiple villains, But yeah, I do like it. I think it's a fun novelty movie. When the Hammer guys got to Hong Kong to film, they didn't realize that the Shaws dubbed every one of their movies, so they weren't recording sound ever. And they're like, well, you haven't soundproofed the stages. They go, yeah, we don't ever record audio on set because we dub these movies in so many different languages. They would just be a waste of time. Yeah. So it cost him extra money because Peter Cushing didn't want to like redub himself, right? So they ended up going wildly over budget, and it was a flop movie. It didn't even get released in the U.S. until like 1978 or 79. They didn't even bother to release it. No. But
I do like the idea, like you mentioned, about the merging and kind of like crossover nature of it. I think that's very appealing. But I think as a result, we don't get like a vision of what this is supposed to be. Is it a horror movie or is it a kung fu movie? Is it a mix of both? And it feels like neither. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, there's some cool horror elements. Like, obviously, it's disappointing not to have Christopher Lee in the movie, right?
The Dracula guy though is pretty good, though. I have to say,
he's not bad. He's got a good voice.
Yeah, but that voice was done by a different actor, though.
Oh, really? Well, I can see they did at the beginning. Like, he goes to his castle and he's like, "I will now embody your body." It's like, what? Like, what?
So,
why?
Yes. Do you know why? I've heard it on the commentary.
I guarantee they were like, you got to put that real Dracula in here somewhere, and they just reshot that later. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
I think Warner Brothers was somehow, maybe Warner Brothers or whoever the American distributor was, and they have to have Dracula in the movie. And so let's just have it that he possesses or takes on the shape of the Chinese guy.
Got it. And then, did you listen to the commentary for this?
Yeah, most of it. I think I fell asleep during it, but
was it good?
The commentary is okay.
Okay.
It's not as good as the Devil Rides Out commentary. That's for sure.
Sure.
Well, I learned that part. About the why Dracula was in the movie, but
that would make some sense.
And I think the financial aspect of it, having they were desperate for ideas at the time too, and so when they heard about the co-producing it with the Shaw Brothers studio, I think that was a gamble that didn't pay off. Let's just say.
No, it didn't. But I mean, it's kind of smart to capitalize on that kung fu craze at the time. Like, let's do something. But I know they reshot a bunch of the English director filmed some of the fight scenes, and the Shaws were like, these suck. So they had to have like they send their own crew to reshoot the scenes, and it's like very specific. Like, you watch a movie like King Boxer, and like those fights are absolutely relentless and unbelievable and insane, right? And I like the star of this movie, Michael. What's his name? He was in a lot of other stuff. But yeah, the fights are good. I mean, like they're fun, but they sort of lack like a lot of the reason why the Shaw Brothers kung fu scenes work, I think, are because they're fighting in like a constrained area, like in like a bar, and they're kicking people off the railing and they're walking up the stairs and jumping on tables. And when you're just kind of out in the open, just kind of looks like a Power Rangers kind of thing.
It's
right?
Still, it's interesting you say the thing that was reshot, because a lot of it feels very stilted kind of direction from a kind of stodgy English perspective. No offense, but like
David
the way they would film a fight scene, as opposed to, again, I'm not an expert on kung fu movies but I've seen enough like clips and stuff where you expect the way things are shot, close-ups, extreme close-ups here and there, or fast cutting, and this is very almost the way you would different people approach the way to direct a musical, for instance. Certain people would step back and show everything, and that's what you kind of see in this movie, is that you see a wide range of people are all doing a bunch of stuff rather than kind of focusing on one thing in particular. I don't know. That was my perception of it.
Yeah, and
that makes any sense.
David Chang was in a movie called The Five Shaolin Masters, which is actually worth watching and kind of fun. But there's a lot of good. I do like the old kung fu. They're almost like Hammer, to where it's like sort of like you anticipate what you're going to see, and there's slight variations, and there's a coterie of stars, and they just try to top themselves in the fight scenes.
Right, you go for the spectacle.
Absolutely.
You go for the action. Here, the action is okay, but I don't know, wasn't particularly memorable.
And when they bring that old ass Dracula out with a top hat and tails on, it's just like it looks totally out of place in like the hell pit circle of naked Chinese gals, right? That they're sucking their blood out or whatever. But yeah, man, I thought it would be maybe a little more interesting.
I could have gone without this one, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry to let you down. I thought it was a little bit of a novelty. What?
Yeah. This is more of like what I expect from this era of film and Hammer films in particular, and this is why I was very pleasantly surprised that Captain Kronos and Devil Rides Out, which obviously is a lot earlier, are excellent movies. And this is more of like what I was expecting those movies to be like.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they were giving it a try. I like Peter Cushing in the role. I think he's still good. I was surprised that they made it a period film to keep in line with the other Dracula movies.
Yeah.
Did you like China?
My favorite part is that he's giving the lecture, and they're like, those fairy tales may appease the peasants of Transylvania, but we're a very enlightened society. And I was like, whoa. It's like, okay. It's like rude.
And he's like, please, I'm telling the truth. I'm like, what? Who put you up here in the first place? Like, what class is this? You know what I mean?
Exactly. What class is this? And what were you expecting the lecture to be on if it's not about, this is Dr. Van Helsing, who's probably billed as the vampire expert, It's
you think.
what
But no,
exactly?
I thought Peter Cushing was good. It's his last movie, Hammer.
Yes. They were talking in the commentary about how he was so disinterested in everything that was going on. All he would do is he would go up on hills, like isolated hills, or stay in his trailer, and he would try to commune with his deceased wife or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he was very distraught about his wife's passing.
Oh
And
no! And then to have to go to China and just like meet all these
yeah,
kung fu people jumping around doing gymnastics and shit, and you have to be like the professor.
I don't think he had much interest.
I'm sorry, I didn't do my due diligence research on this, but who's the girl? Julie Edge. What was her deal?
What do you mean, like
The girl that
her
was the rich blonde girl who
yeah.
dies.
She was
Was she like a singer or something, or like what was her thing?
she was Norwegian.
Okay,
You mean the character or the actress?
the actress. I mean, did she have some kind of story? Usually these girls are
She
something.
was in on Her Majesty's Secret Service as the Scandinavian girl.
Oh.
She didn't have very many
Oh.
movies. She mostly played herself in
No.
movies, actually. She came second in Miss Norway at the age of 18, and she participated in Miss Universe.
Oh, she
And,
was in the movie Robbery, which is an early Peter Yates movie, the guy who did Bullet.
as the uncredited hostess.
It's a good looking hostess.
Craze.
Secret
She was
Service.
in this movie called Craze. Oh, directed by Freddie Francis.
Okay.
Interesting. Is this,
See,
this is not a Hammer movie. It's a Harbor movie.
The Final Program, spelled the British way with 2 M's and an E.
This
Science
movie looks
fiction
good,
film.
though. Which one are you looking at?
The Final Program.
Oh, the Final Program.
Science
This looks
fiction
like a
movie.
TV.
Written by Michael Moorcock. Okay, cool.
This looks like Doctor Who ripoff or something like that.
It does look like a Doctor Who, like Disco Doctor Who. But Michael Moorcock is a cool writer. He wrote some good stuff.
You should look at this one, Craze. It is a 1974 horror film directed by Freddie Francis, starring Jack Palance as a psychotic antique dealer who sacrifices women to the statue of Chuku, an African idol.
Get the fuck out of here.
Francis said that it was, quote, not that good.
You know what, dude? This is a great thing about this. You will never run out of these movies to keep discovering and finding and be like, I had never heard of that, right? Craze, 1974. Great poster. Jack Palance as a crazy antiques dealer. Excellent.
Sign me up for that one.
Is this a DVD at least? I bet this is not even on DVD.
Oh, Tom Weaver wrote about it in Double Feature Creature Attack.
This must
that
really
guy
be
is like one of the
shit.
most interesting commentary providers. This guy, Tom
Who's
Weaver.
that?
Tom Weaver. He's like a movie historian, and he specializes in these B monster movies. And you'll find him on all of the Kino and Scream Factory, like Universal classic movies, or the Poverty Row Monogram movies. Like, excellent commentary tracks from this guy. Super informative. One of the best. My favorite to listen to. When I find that he's done them, like, out of this world. The ones from Devil Rides Out and Seven Golden Vampires, like, they were okay. It's one of them was this guy Steve Haberman and Constantine Nasser, I think. I've heard them on other things. They're okay, but like the level of like Tom Weaver will just give you fact. Like he just spits it out, and you're like, holy crap! This like you learn so much.
That's all. It looks like he writes some books too.
Yeah. I have his book, Poverty Row Horrors. It's like a
I'll have to get that
on all the
oh, cool.
Monogram, PRC, Republic horror films of the 40s and 30s. Really,
okay, cool. I will definitely have to check this guy out because I've listened to a few commentaries. Like the commentary track for like Charlie Varick, terrible.
Really,
it's just like the guy's just watching the movie, and like some bit part guy will come up and he'll go, "Oh, this is Bob Sullivan. He was he had 4 guest spots on fucking Gunsmoke and The Rifleman." It's like I don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's interesting too. I like to know sometimes that these people.
I like to know like how they made the movie. Like, you know, like what did they like? How'd they do the shot? Like, why is this interesting? You know, what were they up to?
You have to have the director. I mean, the historian is not going to know most of that.
David Fincher, he is like the king. He's so good. His commentaries are excellent that he does himself. And Cobra Malibu Unlimited says the final program is amazing, great dystopian flick. I put it on my Amazon watch list. This guy should be doing the stream. Cobra Malibu Unlimited. You got the knowledge, brother.
When he said how he met Caroline Monroe at a convention and walked around with her at the convention and talked to her. That's how he got to know her. It's really cool.
I bet she was hanging out with David Bowie. I bet she was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe he would have been in Germany at the time, drying out from his coke binge. But I bet she knew. I bet there was a lot going on.
Would you recommend Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires though?
Yes.
I would not.
I would recommend it for to put it on at midnight and you're hanging out with.
That would be a great
just on TV.
That right. Sounds like a plan, but
yeah,
it was just not.
It's a little repetitive. It's not. It doesn't have all that shit with. I'm telling the story of the grandfather and stuff. It's just like, let's get rolling here, dude. It's not bad though. I appreciate the design of it. I like the aesthetic. I like the kung fu. It's not terrible. It's not bad. I
don't want to overdo it, but I was just.
But it doesn't stack up with
my world,
Kronos and
yes,
Devil Rides Out.
Oh man, Captain Kronos, want more of that.
I agree. Okay, brother, you got any big Halloween plans for tomorrow?
Not particularly. Probably be handing out trick or treat candy and.
That's awesome.
Watching
I'm not gonna have any. My street has no sidewalk, and my hill is climbing up a mountain to my driveway, so no one's gonna come see me, which is too bad. But
now, what will I watch? I don't know yet.
I think I'm probably gonna turn TCM on because it looks like they're gonna have.
What do they have tomorrow?
Bride of Frankenstein 5, Wolfman 6:30, When a Stranger Calls 1979.
Ooh,
10.
I haven't seen that in so long, and I love that movie. I really.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
You've never seen that? You need to watch it.
Do I? Okay.
The children.
Right now we've got Devil Rides Out on. So if you're watching the stream, you want to check out Devil Rides Out, you can go tune into TCM. And then we've got Burn Witch Burn from 1962 coming up next.
When a Stranger Calls is of that very early 70s slasher. Mold.
Yes.
So it's like Black Christmas, When a Stranger Calls.
Someone's Watching Me.
Yeah, it's really good. So it's the most classic. You probably know what it is.
Oh, of course. Everyone's heard that. The call is coming from inside the house. Right.
But it's so creepy, though, before all of that, because the babysitter's alone in the house, and she keeps getting the phone call, and they keep saying, "Have you checked the children?" Because the children are upstairs sleeping, and she's
yeah.
Really, really. The movie also takes a weird turn. That's only the first third of the movie, that part. Then there's the middle third is where you follow the killer later on when he gets out of jail or something.
Oh, really?
And then the third part is the reprise of the first part of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird structure. The
Looks
remake.
Like we've got a movie from 1993 called When a Stranger Calls Back.
I have not seen that one, but I did see the remake.
Same lead
2006, 2007, or something like that. And they just take the beginning half of the movie and just extrapolate it for the whole movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember that being a movie that was PG-13, so safe for high school girls to go see.
Yeah.
One of those.
I was in high school, so I saw it at that time.
Yeah.
But I was seeing harder edge stuff too, obviously. So.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll definitely, since I haven't watched my Universal Monsters this season, I'll probably do one of those. Oh, you know what? I'll probably watch my favorite one, which is the Black Cat.
Is that right?
Yes, love the Black Cat. Love it. You have to watch the Black Cat. Okay.
Oh, that's.
I don't want to oversell it, but it is Karloff and Lugosi.
Oh no! Wait, I have seen this when they're in that creepy modern house, and they have the. Yes. No, I have seen this. Yes, this is a super cool movie.
One prison camp. Yes, Marmarush, right?
This is a wild movie.
Love it so much. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. The dialogue is just haunting.
I love this movie. Is this on? Is this gonna be on TCM?
I don't know, but
Oh,
said something
the
like
Black Cat is badass. Oh, it is
like
2:30 tomorrow. Black Cat. I'll be watching it. Yeah,
Karloff's
Edgar G. Ulmer
yeah.
directed it. Who did Detour for Monogram?
Karloff's lines to
Oh,
Lugosi are just mesmerizing and haunting. It's like, come, Vetus, are we men or are we children? Of what use are all these melodramatic gestures? You know, and it goes on and on and on. It's just, I love it so much.
I
And it's
remember
Lugosi as the villain. I mean, Lugosi as the hero. So it's like,
right.
so
That's right. He's like good. Yeah, I remember just it being like exceedingly strange and like very
very
like the location is
yes.
very much so.
And that's what I was getting at about Lee as the hero, like the kind of Svengali kind of character in Devil Rides Out, is that's how Lugosi feels in The Black Cat.
Yes.
He is not a saintly character by any means, but he is the hero. He has pure intentions, but he's not your very saintly kind of good guy.
No.
He's got his own motivations here that put him on the right side, but there's an edge to him.
Yeah, I'd love to rewatch The Black Cat.
And the end, it ends with the most horrifying scene for a 1930s movie, which is they have a black mass where they're going to sacrifice the Virgin at the altar of Satan. You know, people all in hoods, crucifixes turned upside down. I mean, it's shocking.
It is. It's totally weird.
There's dead women in glass tubes hung up on display in the basement.
Yeah, I remember being a very striking. I think I saw it like 3 years ago. I should watch that again. I saw that. I was like, this is very interesting. Like,
and it's got just like it reminded me. The Devil Rides Out reminded me a lot of The Black Cat. In that you've got that very modernistic approach to horror. The modern era meets this ancient occult setting, and the two worlds kind of collide. You have these aristocratic, wealthy people who have engaged in this very primal, evil, process. And Karloff lives in that, Art Deco mansion that is just beyond gorgeous. Yeah, love it.
It's such an interesting, and their dynamic is so weird because the couple comes to the house, right, and then you have this weird dynamic between Karloff and Lugosi, and you're like, what are these guys' relationship exactly, right?
There's a lot of history there, and
I will rewatch.
It's so good because the tension between the two actors is real as well. Because poor Lugosi, he is the star of the movie, is he not? And he gets second billing to Karloff in this movie. He is the hero. He is the protagonist. He gets second billing. And sometimes he just gets Karloff, and Bela Lugosi. You know, it's like.
You know what I saw one time was Bela Lugosi obviously had a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think he died in poverty.
He did. Yeah. And he was an opioid addict too.
Yeah, who was the great love of his life? Clara Bow, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and he had like a painting of her. Yeah.
He married 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, he like loved Clara Bow.
But they didn't marry.
No.
He was not one of his many wives.
No, it was like his great tragedy in his life. Yeah, he had like a naked photo of her in his painting of her in his like living room.
And you've seen Ed Wood, right?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, you got to see. We're gonna do a Tim Burton. We're gonna do a Tim Burton one because you need to see Ed Wood. Martin Landau plays Bela Lugosi in Ed Wood.
Right.
Amazing performance, beautiful.
I was surprised to see Martin Landau pop up in Sleepy Hollow.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have really. Tim Burton must have really liked him. But he was nominated for the Oscar for that performance. It's really good.
I need to see this.
It's a tragic performance too. I mean, Lugosi is. Sure. I'll take Lugosi over Karloff any day. I mean, I love Karloff, but Lugosi for me is like one of those underrated, kind of like underdog horror stars that it doesn't get his due, I think. And without Dracula in 1931, I don't think the horror genre would have been
What it was.
what it was. Yes, he made a lot of crap, but the
Including
crap was watchable. I can watch.
I meet a Brooklyn Gorilla or whatever.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, or those ones he did with the East Side Kids. They're fun. They're watchable. You can watch
Yeah,
that.
right, sure.
Have
you watched Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla?
I did years and years ago, but I have not seen it recently.
Okay. Got it. Hey, well, I have to let you go. My wife made me chicken noodle soup. I have to go eat it. But
okay, so no problem. Well, happy Halloween, and
thank you. You too.
We will be back in probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, something like that. We decided what we want to do.
Are we doing animation?
I would like to.
Let's do we'll do the 2-part animation one, Disney and then non-Disney. Okay,
that's fine with me.
So I hope everyone enjoyed this 3-parter.
Sorry I had to call it quits a little early, but
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. No problem. I think we covered everything. So
I hope everyone enjoyed this Hammer horror deal. I mean, we could almost do this exactly again next year or something and still not hit everything.
Yeah, you could do this for like the next year and you probably wouldn't cover all the Hammer films.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we'd be insane. But all right, buddy. I hope everyone in the chat, thanks for coming out. Hope you guys all have a happy Halloween.
Until next time.
Until next time. See you, buddy.